Yeah,
this is a treat.
Exciting.
Let's bring in ESPN's Mina Combs. Mina, how are you?
Ooh. I'm going to back up.
Oh, we got you.
Here we go.
You got me?
We got you.
Yeah.
How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving.
Good. Yeah, my head is like 5 times the size of your guys' head. Where are you, by the way? Are you in a store?
We're at Reading Terminal.
Oh, you're right, Terminal. Oh, cool.
Yes.
Oh, man, I haven't been there in a minute. I'm good. I'm good. My mother-in-law arrived
Nice.
a couple days ago. First thing she said was, "Where's my grandson?" The second thing she said was, "We're the shame of the NFL." Yeah, it's going to be a hot week here.
That's right. 8-3. She's teaching your son to say fire Kevin Patullo.
I'm about to say, who's in the crosshairs, Mina? We need the temperature check. This has got to be a bi-weekly thing now.
Yeah, it's mostly Patullo, I would say. He's definitely enemy number one. But Sirianni's not getting off scot-free, and that's fine.
And so your vantage point from the outside and having watched this team, who's in your crosshairs?
It's hard to solely blame the coaches when the players are committing a lot of penalties. You know, some of them you can say were dubious, but ultimately, like going back and watching the offense back, that's what jumped out to me the most. I know there's a lot of panicking about the inability to run the ball and the pass offense collapsing after the first half. They were actually moving the ball through the air in the second half. They just kept calling it back because of the penalties. So I don't think it's as simple as play calling, to be honest. That's my belief.
And so let's talk about the running game first, because it is so maddening, I think, to Eagles fans and probably to Jeffrey Lurie, given the fact that you double down on Saquon. You've got all these offensive linemen who are being highly paid, and we know that they can run block well. Where do you put the blame? And are you willing to just say, let's give up on the running game at this point because it's not working?
Definitely can't give up on it because of what it hypothetically does for the passing game. I say hypothetically because it's not really been the case. And there's been flashes of decency. I think, watching against Dallas, aside from them being utterly flustered by a 5-man on the line of scrimmage at times, the thing that just jumped out to me was the offensive line just kept getting beat. And it was different guys. I think that's probably what concerns you. You can point to different runs and watch, and it's a different play, to me, to my eyes, losing at the line of scrimmage. Funny thing is, I will say, I think Dallas is actually, that's become a strength of theirs, hilariously, after being a weakness for so long. And now this year, the movable force goes up against the stoppable object, or vice versa. So this is not the week to give up on it, actually, against Chicago, especially watching the Bears tape, again, the Steelers tape, pardon me, against Chicago. I do think there's things that Philadelphia can borrow from them.
Mina, isn't this interesting, though, when you look at Saquon obviously leading the league in rushing and setting all those records a year ago, and now the ecosystem's a little bit different. How interesting of a data point is that for the running backs don't matter discourse that we've faced over the last 2, 3, 4 years?
Yeah, I think the discourse has probably gone, last year went a little bit too far towards not acknowledging the role that the offensive line and scheme plays in that. You're seeing a similar thing play out in Baltimore, too, by the way, for all the Eagles fans panicking, because there's some offensive line regression there. You don't have a quarterback who's as much of a run threat at this point because of his injuries. And, oh, my God, what's going on? Suddenly Derrick Henry's getting stuffed behind the limit, So I do think line play matters a lot. And I'm not blaming Saquon. I will say, you guys, I'm sure, went back and watched. There were a couple runs where I was like, cut, and he bounced it. I was a little bit surprised. It's mostly the offensive line, but there were a couple runs where I was a little bit perplexed by his decision making.
I think, EJ, I like your theory, which you have talked about on the offensive line, if you want to share with Mina, just about the attrition from last year mattering more to them.
It's funny you say that, because I'll be honest, it was a conversation with Mina that prompted me to go into the locker room and talk to these guys about this. So we talked about the 2,000-yard season, the attrition that it might have had on Saquon Barkley, and I remember we said, I think it was Mina, and I was like, maybe it's the attrition on the offensive line that actually is affecting the Eagles' run game, and I think that really has borne out to be true. Talking to those guys, it seemed like the wearing dead, they wore down over the course of the season because of the physicality that last year required, and there was a tangible effect on the offseason and now a tangible effect in the run game from the fact that a lot of those guys are banged up going into this year.
That's huge. I think you've got guys playing through injuries. I think it shows, and maybe they wouldn't be playing through injuries if you had more depth, if Lane wasn't hurt, et cetera, et cetera. Becton hadn't walked out, had left. So Yeah, I do think I don't think all these players just got worse. You know, I think that's a big part of it. I want to pitch something to you guys though. After watching the Steelers tape on Chicago, they did a lot of 6 offensive line stuff. Sometimes they put Alec Anderson in the backfield, which was fun and very effective. So last week it seemed like I think I only saw like 1 or 2 reps of 6 OL. Obviously, Fred Johnson now at right tackle. Is that something you would try to do against Chicago, given the success that Pittsburgh had with it?
You're speaking his language.
Yeah,
we got to rely on Matt Pryor to not run guys over.
I mean, that would be the big thing, is how much faith do they have in Matt Pryor to be able to execute that versus Fred Johnson. To me, I am more in favor of that than putting out more reps of Kylan Granson and Grant Calcaterra together. But I guess we'll see how they decide they're going to play that out.
The amount?
I cannot watch it. It is. If you are a run, it is not fun to watch at all.
No.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And get under center on this. The Steelers ran a bunch of they had a lot of zone. They always run a lot of zone, but I thought they had success with the duo stuff too. Yep. I think the Bears linebackers are still hurt. Yep. So, and Arthur Smith was like cool. He just drew a circle around them. Philadelphia would be silly if they didn't do the same in my mind.
Well, if you want to talk about drawing a circle around somebody, let's flip it to the other side of the ball. Because there is no doubt in my mind that Ben Johnson is starting this game plan with drawing a circle around Sidney Brown, and how can I make him go the wrong direction? And that is not a good matchup for the Eagles.
Yeah, concerning. I think the fact that Adoree Jackson is not hurt, I guess he wasn't concussed, is good news. Because then you have a little bit more flexibility. You're not putting DeJean outside. You can keep him close to the football. I don't know if that would have been the move, but I suspect obviously it's what they did last week. So that should help to some degree. But yeah, I think that they're going to go after the safeties pretty aggressively in this game. The Bears, and you saw this against Pittsburgh, love to put multiple tight ends on the field, which Philadelphia, since DeJean is healthy, will match with nickel instead of the linebackers. So I do think that it's a matchup that doesn't necessarily work against Philadelphia just because they've got one player being replaced. I think there's going to be enough good players on the football field in the secondary because of DeJean getting to play inside. So I'm not terribly worried, but I think you're right about that.
You know what I'm thinking this week? I'm thinking that when they're in base, they're actually going to put Cooper at safety and leave Adoree Jackson on the field, as opposed to having Cooper on the outside with Sidney Brown there.
I think that's very likely. I would be surprised if we don't see that, actually.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. What else do the Eagles need to be prepared for in this Ben Johnson offense? And where are you on Caleb Williams?
Caleb's is a funny watch. He's just like last week was really like the kind of prototypical. I wouldn't say prototypical Caleb Williams game, but early on mistakes on the football, taking a horrible strip sack, and then in the second half, I thought he made some amazing plays. He throws the ball beautifully over the middle of the field. I think the Philadelphia Eagles will have to be prepared for a lot of play action, a lot of attacking safety position that you just talked about. If Brown is out there, and he's thrown some really, really impressive balls between the numbers. I do like the Eagles against this outside zone run game. Certainly better than the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think they'll have an easier time with it. But yeah, the under center play action is the thing I think they have to be really prepared for, because they've been Caleb loves throwing the dig, the seam ball. He's been very aggressive at throwing there. And I think if Philadelphia overplays the run, they'll get punished for it.
How about pass rush wise, after a week in which this pass rush we thought was like ferocious and turning this defense into one of the best in the league? They only sacked they don't sack him at all. A lot of chipping from the Cowboys, so that was part of it, and Dak gets rid of the ball quickly. But are you worried at all, and how do you see that matchup against this Bears O-line?
The Bears O-line is decent, certainly improved. I would say probably about comparable to Dallas. Maybe Dallas is a little bit better at full health. But I do think a lot of that has to do with, you talked about the chips, but also Dak Prescott. There were just plays where these passers just didn't really have a chance. You saw Green Bay struggle with the same thing against Dak Prescott. He's playing quarterback at such a high level right now. And Caleb, the time to throw is like all over the place. So there will be opportunities, I think, for them to get after him and potentially force some bad decisions that did not exist last week because of the quarterback more than the offensive line.
To me, like looking at all the different play action concepts that Dallas was able to utilize last week, and Clayton Adams got really creative with what it looked like from an offensive line standpoint on those play fakes. To me, like Ben Johnson, especially all the perimeter run action that they've used. I mean, they've been one of the best perimeter run teams in football this year. Being able to pair that with their play action game, I'm sure he's going to steal some of that stuff that the Eagles saw last week and had some trouble with.
Totally agree. I think the Eagles linebackers have to have a phenomenal game in this one. To me, there's the Bears offense this year does put so much stress on that position.
Yep.
And you saw the Steelers defense, it's not a strength of theirs in coverage, or against the run, I guess, get really exposed. It is a strength of this Philadelphia Eagles team, and we know styles make fights. I actually think this Eagles defense matches up pretty decently well with Chicago based on what I've seen.
All right, Mina, before we let you go, any big, do you have any controversial Thanksgiving food takes or anything like that? As we wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
I posted one on Blue Sky because I saw people were arguing about pie. So
Yes.
I have the very uncourageous take that I think all pie is good. However, the type and the style of how you eat it is what matters, which is to say, pecan pie is always good. It's,
Yes.
obviously incredibly bad for you, but it's good. Fruit pie has to be homemade. Fruit pie from the store is gross.
Okay, I agree with
Fruit pie
that.
that's homemade, like an apple pie from like Sprouts is not good. But
Sure.
an apple pie someone makes is good. And then pumpkin pie, I only like to eat cold for breakfast.
Okay.
That's a strong take.
That's
I like
that's
that.
a very
Okay.
Mel Kiper take from you.
Mel eats it without the crust. That's
That's right.
disgusting. That's baby.
Yeah,
Eating baby food. Baby food.
That is.
How about turkey?
Baby
Where are you
food
on
adjacent.
turkey? I'm tired of people coming after turkey.
We don't do turkey. We do
Oh.
bosom in my household.
Oh.
We've been doing that for a few years, yeah. And I grew up eating honey-baked ham. My mom used
Yep.
to get it from the honey-baked ham store. So I don't have a strong take about it as long as it's not dry.
Okay.
I respect that.
Mina, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. We will talk to you in a couple
It
weeks.
was so
Thank you,
good to
Mina.
see you guys. Take care.
Say hi to your in-laws.
I will. I'm actually about to go say hi to your old friend Ben Solak, and we're about to talk about the Eagles. So people check that out, the
Tell him we
Minicom
say
Show
hi.
featuring Lenny.
Yes.
I
There we
will.
go.
All right,
Thank you so
take
much,
care.
Mina.
Bye.
Thanks, Mina.